Hello everyone, welcome back to Bescheuertes Kurzes Bein. I'm post-production Leah because you are about to see a video I did with Will from Gorilla Cricket. Most of you probably know him. And I did an interview with him a few weeks ago. And we had a few technical problems and difficulties. First of all, we couldn't get the audio connection to work over Discord, which was kind of weird. When it all then worked, we had a good conversation, but it ends quite abruptly because then Discord decides to crash. Therefore, I am recording this intro to let you know. It's still a very interesting conversation, and I plan on, finishing it because there's been some scheduling difficulties with Will, some illness, stuff like that, unavailability, everything like that. But I thought what I had was pretty good, and I didn't want to waste that. So, without further ado, no, I'm lying. There is further ado. I will also record an outro, and I will put that at the end of the video of the interview. So yeah, hopefully I can talk to Will again in the next few days, and we can record a follow up to this conversation you are about to see. That would be really, really nice. So on with the show. Have fun. Enjoy, everyone. Here you go. Hello and welcome back to Bescheuertes Kurzes Bein, everyone. Another video in English. My name's Leah. Welcome. And I have a guest today, fellow GC Radio or Gorilla Cricket alumni, Will. Hello, Will. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Yeah, and I was very interested in having Will on here because he's in a similar position to mine in that he really got back into cricket commentary and into creating content in this alternative cricket media, if you will, independent alternative cricket media in a similar time frame to me. So starting with the pandemic, roughly, is that right?
I've always been hugely into cricket. Kind of like the first series that I remember kind of obsessively watching was the 2005 Ashes. So
Yeah, me too.
and I was always aware of it before that, but that was the one that kind of made me go,
Mm.
"Oh, okay, this is going to be my life now." And I found the Gorillas sort of as their original kind of
As test match
uh,
so far.
as test match sofa,
Mm-hmm.
and I was doing my GCSEs, and that basically the sofa became the background noise of that sort of GCSE revision, which actually
Mm.
just turned into me eating all of them all night and being irritating on the internet. And then while I was doing that, I was also playing for the Somerset disabled team and then the England disabled team. I did that for a few years, and then I got injured and went back to school. I say went back to school. I just did my A levels at home while I was doing recovery, and then I went off to uni in Birmingham because of Edgbaston,
Mm.
because of the 2005
Mm.
Ashes. And then I ended up playing for Warwickshire for a bit, and then my knees completely gave out, and here we are.
Yeah, but no, I was thinking getting into Gorilla Cricket, appearing on the
So
broadcast or stuff like that. That
on the broadcast stuff, I think that was I've been doing it 6 months, a year, something like that, I guess.
yeah, but you I can't remember you being on GC Radio before the pandemic.
No, 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 because Well, it was that thing. The pandemic sort of changed it for everyone,
Yeah,
really, because
yeah, exactly,
we went remote, so it meant that I didn't have to schlep up to London and
exactly.
4 in the morning to do a sort of contest or whatever. Um, so yeah, it made it a lot easier, and I sort after a little bit of persuading from Tony, I uh, took the plunge and started feeling more kind of publicly rather
Yeah,
than.
exactly. And that was what I meant when I said we started roughly the same time,
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
appearing more on the internet and being more public on the internet,
Yeah,
um,
definitely. So
stuff like that.
I've never done anything like this in terms of cricket
Yeah.
broadcasting or anything. Just, I think I've done a bit like I did an interview for BBC London when I
Mm,
got my first England cap, but that
yeah.
was years ago, and it was literally kind of outside Lords, and they kind of went, "Does it feel?" And I was 16 and terrified, and went, "Great, but I'm terrified." And then was it. And I don't, and I don't think anyone listened to it, but that's the extent of kind of.
Mm. Yeah, so you are probably the only guerrilla cricket commentator who was ever capped for the England team. Is that right?
Uh, it, so it depends whether you count the sofa days because they had a lot of ex England cricketers, so they had
Yeah.
Foxy Fowler was on quite a lot, and
Yes, exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
there were people. I mean, I'm fairly sure. I don't know if this is a fever dream, but I think they had Matt Hancock on at one point, which is a bit mental. Um,
uh, well, I mean, those were mildly mental days. They had David Steele
they were indeed, yeah.
doing a
So
John Arlott impression, demanding more drugs be delivered to the commentary, um, to the com
yeah,
box.
if you count that, then no, I'm not. But I think in terms of gorillas,
Yeah.
I think I am. I suppose um, in terms of kind of mainstream media, Zoltz did a bit in the early days of Gorilla as well. I think there was a bit of a crossover, but yeah,
Yeah,
I
but
think
but
I'm
but
definitely the.
Zoltzman was never in the England team, was he?
No, but he's just in the sort of mainstream kind of. But I think he has played. He's played for like. I think he played for the over 50s or something. The England over 50s. Something kind of odd. I remember bumping into him at a thing, and
Okay.
oh, I've got a. I've actually got stats now, and I went. That's great, Zolf. That's amazing. You can look yourself up on Crick Info. Um, I don't know. Uh, but it is really weird because it's a long time ago, and there's the whole structure of disability cricket has really changed since I was really in it.
Mm.
Which is so when you asked me to do this, I sort of was surprised because I said, "Oh, but I've been out the game for so long," and I have in terms of in my head, it's kind of like I'm now coaching some of the Somerset
So I
development
wouldn't
team.
I wouldn't call that out of the game then.
I, yeah, but I'm not turning out for the England team anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, I know the people that are, which is nice, and that's lovely. And watching Callum do he does Callum Flynn, who's
Mm.
the ED England captain, does he's one of the commentators on the Lancashire
Mm.
games. So it's really nice that we're actually finally getting some sort of money from the game, I guess, which is great, and like it's nice that the guys have their kit paid for
Mm.
and their expenses, which we didn't when I was
Oh
doing
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
it was mainly funded by Chance to Shine and Taverners and
Mm, mm,
so, yeah, the ECB didn't officially come in on it until 2014, I think. So that was a couple of years after I was sort of
mm-hmm.
laid up with a knee with no cartilage in it.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
that's
I mean
that's the
it's
bad thing
yeah.
of bowling, I guess. Um,
So
um,
a bit like Freddy then
yeah, really, really similar
in
to
the end.
What Fred had happen, but I had that happen in about 2 years rather than sort of. I didn't get the 15-year career,
Yeah, okay.
which is a shame.
But I hope
Uh,
you did get a fifer on your last Lord's appearance, hopefully.
so I got a fifer at Cardiff,
Okay.
uh, which was great. Um, it was like a rain affected game, uh, so it was the Aussies, and we put them into bat. Um, and so no, we went into bat first, and Tom, who was one of them, sort of middle over, sort of like he was middle order kind of four or something, and he got about 160 in about 10 overs.
Mm.
I remember him walking off, and he stuck his bat under his arm, and he just looked at me and went, "Enough?" And I went, "I reckon I can deal with that, yeah." And so we put on about 200 odd in 20 overs, and then it absolutely pissed it down, properly torrential in
Mm.
very classically Welsh way.
Yeah.
Um, and then so basically then they sorted out Duckworth Lewis and all that, and
Mm.
I think um 63 off 5 overs to win.
Okay.
They basically Skipper chucked me the ball and went, "What you can," but I'm gonna try and just give you the 1 over because it's
Mm.
5 overs. He wanted to
Mm.
everyone basically um, proper bowlers and then someone who was a rounder who
Mm.
a bit of spin that was right. I mean, like better than anything I can't spin things to save my life, but yeah. So 5 for 1. So got a
Oh,
hat trick.
beefy territory there.
Yeah. So and that was off 1 over.
Yeah.
So got a hat trick. What a wide. Fold it again. Got another wicket. And then I had a top ball, and then I got another wicket on the last ball of the river. And yeah, and I was about 17, and I was really up myself, and I just sort of remember going up to the umpire, thinking to myself, this is fun. I just wish I'd sort of taken it in a bit more. Do you know what I
Mm.
mean?
Yeah.
No, um, that's I mean that's the best thing I've ever done. Definitely in terms of sport, probably in life. Um, yeah, I just sort of remember looking up and just taking it all in, and then wandering off to fine leg and thinking I'm not gonna have to catch for a while, which is nice. It was great. Also, did you see the Somerset game? Uh, when we were playing Surrey last week.
Was it the one?
It was the one. Basically, it was the one where the last few overs there were literally 10. There were 10 people around the bat, and
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
and Jack Leach was doing spin. So I'm not gonna lie, the last sort of 3 balls of that over, I had a field like that
Yeah, it's always
because I
it's
was just.
yeah,
It's so much fun.
yeah, I think that's the
Um,
best thing in cricket. If there is if there's a spinner on, and in the medium long shot, you can see all 13 players involved in the match and the two
Yeah,
umpires in the same shot. That's
that's
the best.
that's the dream.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was really fun. And I was really lucky, because so Somerset, particularly when I was coming through,
Mm.
were the best county in the disabled game. So a lot of the Somerset guys were sort of in the England setup anyway, and
Mm.
it was quite easy because they're basically the England coach just used to bring Dan, who was the head coach at the time at Somerset, kind of go, "Have you got any good prospects coming through?" And put me forward, and I went up to Birmingham to have a trial.
Mm.
Honestly, the trial, like my trial, was better than any game I've played for England. It was crucial. Um, it was great. Again, I was very young, and I mean, I got told to slow down at one point. That was fun. I was bowling about. I think I got gunned about 82
Okay.
ish. So off 4 or 5 paces, that's quite fun. And they were just like, "You're in the team. Slow down. You're going to give someone concussion." Which is again, like I was about 3 weeks short of my 16th birthday at that
Mm.
point. That's just hilarious and very fun and very kind of silly, and yeah. So in terms of that sort of thing, cricket's been very good to me.
Yeah, and
I mean,
yeah, thinking about Somerset, they're really at the forefront for this in the English game, I would say, disability cricket and stuff like that. I mean, I was thinking about it. I was thinking to myself, maybe I just have a better, or maybe I see it more because I follow Annie on Twitter and stuff like that, and Annie reposts a lot of Somerset cricket in all forms. Um,
I mean
and
they've been so good.
yeah.
Like the fact that I've played at more county grounds than quite a lot of professional female cricketers.
Mm,
I mean, it's awful because
yeah.
my God, particularly the girls that are coming through the now county system. It's very confusing at the moment
Yeah,
because
yeah,
we're sort
yeah,
of
yeah.
like so. But like, what was the kind of the women's system? The fact that they've played. I was talking to Joe Gardner about this sort of like a little while ago, who plays for. It is going to be Essex, but it was uh, Sunrisers.
Mm,
So anyway, she was saying, "Oh well, I played at Wanted Road, which is Northance's ground
mm-hmm.
once," and I kind of went, "I played at Taunton like loads."
Mm-hmm.
She went, "That's because you're in the West Country and they care about that sort of thing. You're just really lucky." Um, I was very very lucky as well because when I went off to uni, uh so they were just bringing a lot more money into the international disability
Mm,
setup, and all of that was based at Edgbaston.
mm-hmm.
So although I wasn't still in um, the England setup, I was able to kind of use that as a way of kind of getting in on the act a little bit, and so that was really great. Being able to train at Edgbaston and
Mm.
all of that sort of thing. That was amazing. I was very very lucky. I'm very aware that I've been very lucky with it. Um, and also just things, particularly sort of like as a kid, that there were a lot of times where uh, so the disabled team would train with, so like our academy guys would train with the the fact that I was training at 15 with Jack Leach and Joss Butler
Mm.
and people like that and Tom Abel and So that's like a weird thing because I don't consider myself like when people say, what do you do? I just kind of go, I don't know, bit of everything, done some stuff, that was nice. Um, then I kind of look at who I've got in my phone. It's kind of like, oh, I've got a ton of professional cricketers who I've known since I was about 15, 16.
Mm.
And that's weird. Um, like uh, the Headingley game where Jack got the one.
Oh yes,
I
2019, of
heard
course.
from Jack the morning after that.
Oh,
That's weird. And he was, like, it was literally just a kind of a. I just texted him and went, "Saw you, best innings ever played." I meant him as well, and Stokes has got nothing on him. That's it's that thing of like it's a weird thing, and it just makes you kind of very grateful for what you get, and
mm.
like it's just I was in the right place at the right time. I was lucky, and I'm really grateful for it, and if like me waffling away on GCs, what people want, great, like I'm well aware that I'm actually pretty crap at commentary. But I've got
What? No.
odd. Oh no, I am. Like my ball is terrible because I'm half blind and the stream freezes all the time. Because I've
Yeah,
got
okay.
terrible internet.
Yeah,
But
but that's the technology. That's
yeah,
not
yeah,
a
yeah, yeah.
not a really good feed and stuff like that. Um,
You know what I mean? It's that thing of like I'm under no illusions that I'm going to be the next John Arlott, but I do know that I've got the odd decent story, and in terms of like certainly in terms of uh there are there's the odd game where I can kind of go, oh no, the pitch will play like this.
mm.
Somebody will be on and kind of go, how do you know that? And I'm like, there.
But I mean, that's the great thing
No,
about cricket commentary. It's so different from every other sports commentary in that
oh
sense that
so
you
yeah,
need different roles. You need someone
yeah.
to describe what's going on in the action, what is happening every ball. But well, there are people that naturally gravitate towards a different role, maybe a summarizer or stuff like that. And
I think it is that thing, and also I think there's that element of kind of I don't know. So I did stand up for years.
mm,
Basically, I did stand up kind of that was my job until the pandemic
mm-hmm,
put pay to it. Um, I've always been quite comfortable just sort of chatting to people, and
mm-hmm.
I can always sort of like find something a bit funny to say. So I think I'm just always I don't know. Sometimes I kind of feel like the cricket gets in the way of the jokes, but that's all right. Um,
Yeah, I think so too.
and also I really like that. You know what? Everyone's so relaxed, and it's a safe place to be, and you're not going to get grief in the chat and
No.
all of that sort of thing, and like so that's really nice. And you know what? If it means that at some point there's a bit more kind of coverage for disability cricket in the UK, then it's great. I
Mm.
don't know whether it will end up being us, but I mean, I've spoken to Bear about it, a little bit, just sort of saying we are looking for new comes on certain games and stuff. So, like, that would be great because it could also be really good for us.
Yeah. Isn't the ECB now at least live streaming disability matches
They are,
on
but
YouTube?
they are live streaming it. But there are a lot. So that's the DPL, the Disability Premier League, which is kind of like Well, it's basically a franchise. It's like the 100.
Okay.
Although I kind of think that really they should have just gone in with the 100, because if you look at what, so I don't like. Oh, I feel weird about the 100, but I think you
Yeah.
can't deny that the 100's done amazing things for the women's game. Like, when you consider that there are loads of girls now that are able to be full time because of the 100, that's great. And I don't really kind of like, yeah, the men's competition seems a bit weird and a bit like a computer game to me.
Mm.
Weird. It's
Be-
kind of like they're just playing it out for whatever. But I think you have to look at the positives where they are. And I've always thought, why don't they sort of do something like? Well, I think that there should be a sort of a. I mean, I've been thinking this for years, but I think that with the blast, there should be 3 games in a day. I think you should have a disabled game in the morning, and a
mm.
women's game, and the men's game.
Mm.
I think you get a full day of cricket, and also, like, and obviously there's not going to be as much money in disabled cricket. We all have to,
Yeah.
like I say, England guys have full-time jobs and stuff,
Mm.
and they don't, and it's very difficult, but it is better than it was. So I think that might be something that would help it. But yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know
that's
whether we could be part of it or not. I
yeah.
don't know, but
But that's something I wanted to ask you. What do you think? Do you see what positive well what positive developments, that's the word I was looking for. What positive developments for the disability game do you see at the moment in English cricket, especially in English cricket? Because I think, first of all, English cricket is what disability cricket, where disability cricket is concerned. England is at the forefront right now. Um,
100%.
so where England are now, the rest will be in about 5 to 10 years, depending on. Well, Australia will probably be a bit earlier than Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
I fear.
What's interesting actually is that I think the from what I've seen, so it's interesting that I've had people who are involved in Cricket New Zealand like
Mm.
give me the odd email and kind of go, "We're looking at how this works. You used to be in it. How would
Mm-hmm.
you?" So that's like an interesting thing. So I think they're taking it really seriously. So if you're looking at kind of who are the next sort of cab off the rank kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
um, I think New Zealand are going to be up there. Australia are definitely going to be uh, was one of the big three,
Yeah.
and they don't want to be doing. Don't want England to be doing something that they're not doing. And then I'd like to think that India will do it. Honestly,
Well,
I
India.
don't think that it will be. India are weird. It's so strange. A bit.
Yeah, but I remember they were touring. One of their disability teams was touring England. I think it was the deaf cricketers.
Yeah, and
They were touring England.
and our guys went over there
Mm.
um when the England men's team last toured India, whenever that was, year before last year.
Mm. No,
Um,
last year, England
Last year it
men.
was last year. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There was um a physical disability team
Mm.
touring at the same. So I mean, they definitely there's an appetite for it, which is great, and I think combining it with a men's like the men's tour as well, I think is a good idea. Because I think that's if you look at, I think you have to look at something like the 100 in terms of what it's done for women's cricket, and I think the big things that it's done is completely coincidentally because of COVID, they put the games on back to back, which I
Mm.
believe wasn't originally going to be the case, but that meant that crowds got up, and essentially that's what you want. You need sort of in the ground. Um,
Mm.
because it's that weird thing with certainly with the Paralympics. For a lot of people, it's an afterthought, but actually, if you're kind of into sport,
Mm.
you end up watching it because
It's great
most
sport.
people that like sport, like you just watch what's on. And then after about a day, usually people go, "Oh my god, this is amazing."
Yeah.
I have people not been telling me to watch long jump with a guy that's blind
Mm.
because that's much more entertaining than somebody that can see, because of course it is. Um, you know, like
And I
there's
mean,
that Chinese swimmer that
everyone who
doesn't
has
have any limbs.
yeah, and everyone who has ever watched any wheelchair rugby match, please don't tell me that you didn't like that stuff. That's
Exactly.
amazing.
Like, and they are amazing guys. They're
Mm.
so cool and they're just so fit as well. That's the thing that I think is hilarious. People don't realize how incredibly fit people are.
Yeah.
It's so weird. Like, um, yeah, but that's also like a weird perk of my life is that I know a lot of Paralympians,
Mm.
and that's cool because, but it's like it, but that also makes it a bit weird because like I was in a Paralympic pathway for equestrian when I was young.
Okay.
Um, yeah, uh, what might have been, I guess, again if I'd not been, I basically I what ended up being kind of like a weird rheumatoid arthritis when I was 13. And
Oh, you
people
got it
say,
when you were 13?
yeah,
Yeah.
that was like my 13th birthday present was like not being able to move for 4 months.
Yeah,
It was,
I had that for my 16th. So,
oh my god,
yes.
amazing! Isn't it hellish?
Yes.
So yeah, basically, it was really weird because so I was going to like Olympic camps and
Mm.
like I was sounds oh god yeah, this makes me sound so big headed. I hate this. I've literally just talked about being good at sport for like half an hour. Good. Um,
No, 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 and you're not. That's the thing. You're not just good at sport. You are also um, good at talking about sport and at
yes,
promoting
yeah,
sport. And you uploaded a very interesting your thoughts on coverage of the Paralympics.
so I mean, if we're going to get into that, then what are you doing for the next 4 hours? Because I can talk about that forever. The Paralympics is a weird thing. I love it, but I
Mm,
also am very aware that it's very divisive and massively underfunded.
yes,
Um, so, but basically, what I so because I've been in the kind of Paralympic pathways and stuff,
and
I know a
just
lot.
just a second for everyone listening at home, I will link Will's well audio file podcast kind of thing about the Paralympics and media coverage of the Paralympics in the down below, also known as the description box. So check that out.
Thanks, Leah. You're amazing. Honestly, that it sort of it's supposed to be a podcast, but it actually what it actually is me getting very very frustrated and talking about it non-stop to a very long suffering girlfriend. Basically, just went tell someone who cares. I can't cope. I know it's really shit. You've got to just say it to the public. And at about 2 in the morning, I stuck a pair of headphones on and waffled into a microphone for 20 minutes. And there you go.
Yeah.
And then I uploaded it. So yeah. So with that, it it's a weird world because there are 15 million disabled people in.
Mm,
It's a very small community.
yeah.
It's a very odd community as well because it's I mean the fact that it's sort of homogenizing a huge
Yeah.
diaspora of is that's a whole other thing. Like, I don't know how kind of sort of political you want me to get, because I can. Um, um,
Yeah,
yeah, so there's that thing of it does mean that because we're all sort of shoved in one group,
yeah,
a very similar way to kind of
queer
like, the fact
people.
that LGBT
Yeah,
group
yeah.
like a group together, it's just like that's not. There's so many different life things, and like, have you seen? Oh my god, have you seen the LGBT Q plus group that are like pro Trump? It's terrifying and makes no sense. I don't understand. It's mental.
Yeah,
It's
I can absolutely see that, and I no, I have not seen.
no, no. It was a very dark rabbit hole that I went on. It's a very weird thing, kind of that thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
like because also so with me as well, I have many fingers in many pies because
Mm.
I'm also kind of queer
Mm.
and also uh my family are all Romany, so yeah, that. So it's like I'm like the first generation of my family to be born in houses, which is kind of crazy
Oh,
on
yeah.
my dad's side. So like there's that. So basically, I've the whole kind of uh nation thing. I've got
Mm.
from all angles. So in a weird sort of way, it makes you simultaneously more relaxed about it
Yeah.
and not more relaxed.
There is
Um,
there is more at stake. Sometimes for everyone. If you are any of those, if you are disabled, if you are queer, if you are part of a ethnic minority, stuff like that. It sometimes means that your stakes are very much higher than the average person's stakes, and you are currently made very aware of the fact that the stakes are higher than ever. Um, I see that myself with the rise of right wing
yeah,
bullshit
I mean,
in
yeah,
politics about across the continent.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, like worldwide, it's
yeah,
terrifying what's happening.
yes, it is.
And I think, I think that's something that's amazing about sport. Um, is that so? I was trying to explain it to somebody that I work with, kind of on the activism side of it,
Mm,
who he really hates sport, and I completely understand that. He's like much more arty, and I'm not saying, but
mm,
kind of said. But the thing is, in a lot of ways, sport is art because there are things that people can do, the football or a cricket ball or a tennis ball or whatever. Like what Shane Warne could do with a cricket ball.
mm.
If that's not art, I don't know what is. You know?
Yeah. Um,
And also, I think that it gives you um, a voice that you wouldn't otherwise have. Like, do I think that the Paralympic movement is perfect?
no, probably not.
Absolutely not. But it is 12 days every 4 years. We as a community are front and center. And Channel
Mm,
4 have been great about it. You know, they literally put every minute out. You can
yeah.
watch every single event on streams on YouTube and all of that sort of thing. So it is there. And yeah, needs to be more so. And there are Paralympians who are now calling for it because they're in a position where they can.
Mm,
Interesting. Because years ago, nobody was in that position. Everyone was so reliant on funding from
mm,
the IPC and Paralympics GB.
mm.
And this is across the world as well. I'm just using Paralympics GB as a sort of example because I know about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I can sort of definitely say no, this is definitely true. I don't know what the funding is like within the Paralympic team of like France.
Mm.
I have a vague idea,
Yeah.
but I don't know for certain. Whereas with Paralympics GB, I can be like, yeah, no, I know these are the numbers, and
Yeah,
you know
okay.
what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, so like the fact that Johnny Peacock and Hannah Cockcroft are now able to say, why aren't we in the Diamond League meets or whatever
Mm.
that may be? Um, it's a similar thing to. I hope that in 5, 10 years, uh, disabled cricketers are going to be able to say, why aren't we in the 100, or why aren't we going on tour at the same time as the
Mm.
Ashes? Why
Yeah.
isn't there a disability Ashes, or
Yes.
why is because last Ashes, the men and the women's Ashes sort of ran kind of concurrently.
Yes. Yes, they do
Um,
now.
I mean, so I think there's that.
Mm.
If we can get to a point in cricket where that will be the case, then that would be great. Obviously, because it's not a Paralympic sport, it's not going to have the same amount of funding as
But it will
being
be
in
an
the.
Olympic sport.
Yes, but that doesn't mean that
Yeah,
the
okay.
Olympic funding and the Paralympic funding are
Yeah,
two
okay.
complete different bodies and two different pots.
In
So
Germany, it's a bit different because
got
there is
better
funding there
support.
is funding through the government going into sport, and that is both non-disabled and disabled sport from the same pot
I,
sometimes.
I think also in Germany you've got that thing where now, if certainly if you like have a facility built, it has to be accessible.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, that isn't the case here. So there are
Okay.
still places that are being built, like gyms that are being built or whatever, that don't have to be accessible, which is
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah, in
Um,
Germany they have to be schools have to be accessible. Um, the school I went to, it was built in the somewhere in the probably in the 70s or something like that. And a few years after I graduated with my A levels, they had to build um, elevators
oh, okay,
in a detached tower
amazing.
to allow for wheelchair access to every level of the school, and they did that.
That's that's an absolute dream. I I moved to Germany.
Yeah.
I feel like
Um,
see it. Okay, so this is something that, like, I think, as you know, we both know quite a lot about kind of what's going on in terms of disability and queer rights and all that sort of thing. Germany's in a better place than Britain, right?
Marginally, it's getting well.
Worse.
I think there is a it's a twofold problem. First of all, the queer rights thing. They are trying to roll that back right now. Um, or a lot of people try to roll it back. On the Paralympics front, there's much better news because during the Paralympic Games here, we had or shortly after the Paralympic Games concluded, we had a really, really big discussion here in Germany about um, ableism and ableist jokes and stuff like that. Because, well, bit of a backstory. We had an alleged comedian, and I'm saying alleged comedian, who has been the announcer or presenter of primetime TV shows before that, and he had a sexual assault allegation made against him.
Oh
That was a
God.
few that was a few years back. So sexual
I
assault
think I
stuff,
know about this sort of, but yeah.
and and he got out of that the Scott Kugelheim way. He wasn't exonerated. He got out of it on a technicality. He then he then whined on social media and everywhere about cancel culture and how he is now being cancelled and stuff like that. And then did what every failed comedian that has been cancelled does. He embarks on a sold out stadium tour across the nation. Um, and then that was about 2 years ago, I think.
Yeah.
And everyone thought, okay, that's gone now. Everyone has forgotten that. So one of the television channels here in Germany, one of the private television channels, decided, okay, we'll give him another TV show. We'll give him a primetime slot and stuff like that. And then someone found a clip of him on a podcast that's a really, really disgusting comedy podcast. It's a bit like all that Rogan shit. Joe Rogan and Bert Kreischer, Tom Segura, and
Yeah,
all that
yeah,
stuff. And he was sitting there. It's been, I don't know, it came out after the Paralympics had concluded, but it was recorded, I think, 2 or 3 months before that, or half a year before that. And the Paralympics came up, and he made a really, really, really shitty joke. It was so bad. Trigger warning for everyone listening. This is hard ableism that's coming your way now, and it's not a joke that's really funny. I would put up my hands, and if I lower my hands again, that means
Oh
the
yeah, yeah,
joke
yeah.
is
I
the
get it
joke is
from you.
over.
Don't worry.
Okay.
It's absolutely fine.
It's a joke about the aquatics, and he said, we've always had this. You take a bunch of people without arms and legs and throw them into the pool, and whoever drowns last is declared the winner.
That's just not even okay. So this is the thing that actually right.
So
This is also like
it's not
my
even
kind of
funny.
not. It doesn't even work as a joke, right?
Nope.
Like
Nope.
that's the thing. I've been in comedy long enough,
Yep.
and I've been disabled my entire life, right? I've had so much shit. I've been beaten up. I've been spat at. I've had every single name, like all the things, right?
Yep.
So in terms of like someone's gonna make a shit joke, like whatever, I don't care because it's kind of like cool. You're not coming at me with a baseball bat. That's great. I can sort of like it's not fun, obviously, and I don't want it to happen, but it's kind of like but that's not even a like a joke that works. That's just
Exactly.
being offensive for the
Yes.
sake of being
Yes. But
doing the like Ricky Gervais thing of being like, "Oh, I'm too edgy. You can't cope." And it's like, "No, dude, you're a middle-aged white dude who's had nothing go wrong in their
yes,
lives. You're just
exactly.
like punching down.
Yep.
Where's the fun in it? Like there is no like cleverness, there's no
Nothing.
humor, there's no subtlety, there's no nothing."
Nothing. Yes. But here's the good part, because people had him on their radar. The press had him on their radar after the sexual assault stuff.
Yeah.
And they dragged him over the coals for this.
Good.
And as I said, he was supposed to present a new primetime show, starting, I don't know, I think it was supposed to start the Thursday after someone dug up that clip. Cancelled before it even started.
Wow.
TV station was like, nope, we're not doing that. And there was a real discussion in the German newspaper, in the weekly papers like Die Zeit, The Time, which is basically our rather left-leaning, the Times equivalent. It's a weekly newspaper. It's really important in culture and
It's sort of more in
stuff
line
like
with
that.
the Guardian
Um, no, I
things
think the
that
Guardian would be the Süddeutsche, the South German,
okay.
or something like that. But all the big newspapers had a really, really drawn-out discussion about why that was shitty, what an asshole that guy is, and why the Paralympics are still needed, and why it was amazing what happened at the
So
Paralympics.
the sort of basics of it for me, like with the Paralympics, is it's more entertaining than the Olympics because the sport is more. There's more at stake. Because essentially sport is just on a very basic level. It's overcoming a hurdle,
Adversity.
right? There are more hurdles in the Paralympics than
Mm.
there are in the Olympics because it's kind of like, yeah, you run 3,000 meters with no legs or
Yeah.
whatever, like it just is sort of it just makes sense. So I think it's on a very basic level, like anyone that says that it's not more entertaining, which is why Channel 4 in the UK took
Mm.
a punt on it 12 years ago, because they thought, okay, we're going to make our money back. And then they really did, and they've done amazing work. And like the last leg,
Yes, actually,
like yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so
the comedy for German listeners. It's a comedy show hosted by an Aussie, and it's about, isn't it about sports?
so it started as a nightly thing at the end of each day at the 2012 Paralympics.
Okay.
Um, and then it became like it was on every Friday night, and then they do it again every night
Mm.
during every Paralympics. But basically, for the first couple of years, I wrote on it, because I knew somebody that was writing on it, and basically he used to ring me up and go, "You've got disability. Can I say this? Is this all right?" And after I don't know, 6 months of that, they were like, "Do you want to just come into the studio rather than being on Tom's phone for like hours every night or whatever?"
Yeah.
So, but they've that has for the last 12 years, that's meant that
Mm.
like there are disabled people on the telly making jokes about disability that are actually so it's our voice,
Mm.
and that's really important. And yeah, okay, not every joke lands, and also things still you still everyone does stuff wrong. So during the run of the Paralympics, and it's the one of the funniest things I've seen, is it was so not meant, and it shows that also everyone gets stuff wrong.
Mm.
Everyone's human. Adam Hills, who's a comedian who's got one leg, but he's a comedian. He's also
Is he
he won the
the guy behind the desk on
yeah,
last?
yeah,
Okay, okay.
yeah.
He's basically the presenter, and then the
Yeah.
basic setup
And
is.
then there's Alex Brooker, who
Mm.
is actually a journalist, but he's now become a bit of a wait, Brooker's a celebrity now.
Mm.
But he's his background is in sports journalism. And then Josh Widdicombe, who's a comedian.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah. So there was this guy who was didn't have any arms, who was on the show chatting, and then his mic went,
Mm.
and Hilsey just passed him a hand mic. I went, "I'll have this one." There was just this moment of and this is live on telly, and he's just like, "I can't believe I've just done that. This is literally about disability awareness, and I've just handed the bloke with no arms a hand mic. I'm an idiot. Oh my god!" But that's the thing. He kind of went, "Hey, I'm 53. I've had a disability my entire life. I literally do this as a job. I still get shit wrong. That's fine."
Yeah.
But
And
someone do you know what I mean?
yeah, exactly. I mean, the problem was with the that guy in Germany. Of course, went on an apology tour.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh no, I've worked with people with disability, and they're making jokes about their disability all the time and stuff like that." And this, yes, that is fine. You can make jokes with your friends with disabilities about disabilities, but three white guys sitting in a podcast studio
Oh,
without any disabilities telling
just
such jokes, that's a bit of a problem. That's just assholes. Three
Yeah,
assholes
that,
being assholes.
and it's also that thing of like, I don't know whether you find this, but like I like it when people try and make an effort. When like you like just okay, things they might not say the right thing or whatever, but they're like making an effort to be
Yeah.
right, and you're just kind of like cool, whatever. And it's like people do it all the time, and you know they get pronouns wrong and stuff. It's kind
Yep.
of like okay, that's annoying, but like if you do it once and you slip up, fine, and it's literally just a mistake. If you continue to do it, then okay, that's
Well,
different.
I
But
mean,
I like, do you know what I mean?
yeah,
It's a
I know what you mean, but I always think, yeah, with the pronouns, people are there are a lot of people that have 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 no contact with LGBTQ
that's true.
culture, and it's just they're old, they're in their 40s or stuff like that. They've been
They find
thinking
they're
they've
all
been
grown, you
thinking
can get
one
it right.
way.
Other people can.
They've been thinking one way for their entire life, and I often think it's one of the well, it's a bit of a bit of a disappointing um, superpower you get in exchange for being trans, because um, that's one of the abilities you get. You can sense in this situation, you sense malice, and if people are just
Or
so set in
disability,
their ways, so set in their
right?
ways that they don't that they're not doing it to be malicious, they're just doing it out of routine. This is how they always thought about things, and they need time. So yes, it's always annoying, but as long as it's not malicious, I'm yeah okay. Please don't do it again.
Okay,
Yeah,
don't do it again. This is whatever. It's fine. But it's kind of like you can. But that's the thing. Disability is so similar in that
yeah.
like you've got that sort of spidey sense for
Mm-hmm.
malice. Essentially, it's just like okay, you mean everything you're saying now. This
Yeah,
isn't just a
exactly.
mistake. No, and I think that's the sort of thing that I think with gorilla cricket, like I don't know
Mm.
what the numbers are, but like they're really decent. It's like thousands of people that listen to each game, right? So if
Yes, yes.
we're talking
Yeah.
like
I think
the,
in it of course it depends. But on Guerrilla Cricket, you have thousands of listeners for stuff like the World Cup,
yeah,
and of course the big series, the Ashes, and anything against India will have more listeners.
so but that's the thing with that. The fact that we're doing commentary on gorilla cricket
Mm.
is huge because like anywhere else that would be the case that like with the people that like I mean like I've been doing a lot lately because I've just got the time to do it like the fact that we're both on air a
Mm.
lot and we're able to kind of talk about this kind of stuff we're given that space is huge because that wouldn't happen on test match special or I don't know whether I think Germany really has
Norcross has
any
been
radio.
following my Twitter account lately very closely and retweeted me a few times.
Well, see, that's the thing. Like, I think there are individuals within Test Match Special that are like nice people. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
sure.
Like, Cross is a nice bloke. I mean, he ignored the fuck out of my emails when I was 16. He was also ignoring the fuck out of everyone else's emails.
Yeah, probably.
So, like, and I know that for a fact. And like, I've met the guy since. Loads of
Mm.
the guys that do GC know it, like, obviously, because they're from sofa days and stuff. Like there are a lot of people in cricket that are
Mm.
really sweet. I
Yeah.
think cricket is a very accepting and inclusive sport in a very weird way. Like if you're in the right bit of it, obviously.
Exactly,
Like,
exactly. That's what I was going to say. There are certain bubbles in
yeah.
within cricket
Our
that are
bubble,
very.
everyone's lush. And I'm never worried about what someone's going to say, whatever, like, because people could say so much shit to me, like, it's
Mm,
that thing of, like, you know there are so many people that are very ready to sort of go, well, you didn't play for the England team, not really, not the real England team. It's like, they're also saying that to, like, Lauren Filer, who's opening bowler for the England women team at the moment.
yeah,
It's just like, what, he doesn't count. Is that what it
yeah,
is? It doesn't. So that sort of thing happens, in
yeah,
life.
yeah.
I don't see that happening in our little sphere of
Not really,
cricket,
not
man.
really. Me neither. And I think that's remarkable. But I think in a kind of interesting way, I attribute that, at least in part, to the fact that cricket is a very self-reflective, self-introspective kind of game, in that there is a lot of literature produced about every aspect of cricket, and history is always part of the conversation when you're talking about anything cricket. Because it is a colonial game, it was an instrument of colonial politics, and people are reckoning with that fact and
Yeah,
trying to come to terms with that fact. And because colonial politics are so intricately linked with
hundred%.
hierarchies and
Yeah,
and and marginalization, that
yeah,
people, they just examine that much more than in something like football.
100%. But football has as much of a colonial past as cricket does. The thing that football has that has meant that that's more, um, that's less of a problem for football as a thing, is that has gone global and properly global.
Mm.
And there's less kind of barriers to playing. Like, it's that thing of, essentially, you need
Yeah, you don't need all
all
the
and
all
that.
the equipment. Yeah.
I do also think that this is an element of gatekeeping, um, with with cricket. So, okay, this is going to sound really, really like this is a bit bad, but if I can get to the point where I'm playing county and international cricket, and for most of my life I played cricket on, like, cracked concrete outside my house
Mm.
as a kid, all of that, and I had a cricket bat that cost 20 quid
Mm.
and all of that sort of thing, and I still ended up playing, like, at the highest level it was possible for me to play.
Mm.
Also, my little brother, who's like, who's able-bodied, he ended up in the Somerset Academy, like,
Mm-hmm.
so he went pretty far along that road as well. I mean, he's, you know, say it quietly, but he's much more talented than me. um, and he's nicer, little bastard. Um, you see what I mean? It's that thing of, like, so I think that the imagine like that this idea that the sort of barrier to being able to play cricket is it is higher, the higher up the pyramid you go.
Mm.
But I think that, like, there is less of a, certainly less of a sort of barrier to playing cricket in other countries. Certainly in, like,
The
I don't know,
subcontinent.
in the
Yes.
Caribbean, like, people play cricket on the beach all the time.
Mm.
India, people play cricket literally anywhere there's
Yes.
2 square foot of anything. It doesn't matter, you can be using rolled up sock and
Yeah.
a piece of wood,
Yeah.
and it counts. So I think that is something that, like, Britain is a weird place. There are like it's a very divided.
There is the
There's
class
no kind of
thing. Yeah.
well, but also all of cricket is based on that. So that's the whole thing. I
Mm.
fundamentally hate everyone who's like I hate batters. I hate anyone that bats. I think they're because it's based on classism.
Yes.
Like because it's all that thing of like it was the amateurs, i.e. the gentry, that
Who
batted.
are the batsmen and the
Yeah,
professionals are the bowlers.
yeah. So which is why it's always a batsman that's the captain. It's why all of the rules favour batsmen. It's why and and it's still the case. The fact that like with DRS, the fact that the moment you pitch outside leg doesn't count. It's like,
Well,
well, that
I wouldn't go so far.
ah, yeah, okay, fine. I know I'm definitely on the extreme side of it, but that's because I am deeply proud of the fact that I can't bat to save my life. No,
Yeah, no,
I
but I think if you're going into something like you can't be out LBW if it's pitching outside leg, it would. I don't think that it would be as entertaining a game as it is if that were possible, because everyone would just
no, I
employ
understand.
spinners and always bowl a defensive line. There would be and then you would have no restrictions on fielders behind square on the leg side, and everyone would basically employ spinners to bowl a kind of weird body line with a leg side trap.
I would love to see that because I love bodyline.
Yep.
I was. It's that thing of like the moment I'm playing in a charity game
Mm.
or any kind of not competitive cricket, I immediately set a bodyline field.
Well, I
Gotta
mean, you
go
can you can you can basically
because
still
it's
do that,
fun,
didn't?
and that's and I think so. There's an element of that, and also just the more aged my body gets, and my like I have the knees of an 80-year-old
Mm.
and spine of a 100-year-old and all sorts of like my body's wrecked. So
Mm.
the older I get, I am definitely turning more to spin. Like I don't know. I was doing a net kind of weeks ago with some of the academy people, and I was sort of trying to teach myself how to spin. I can't spin at all, but do you know what it's that thing of I was thinking, oh well, if you can teach yourself how to spin in the next 10 years, maybe you can get back into the Somerset team as a spinner when you're 40.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's
Yeah.
it's that thing like I think what's amazing about cricket as well is that it is so like there's such a good pyramid. You know how
Yeah.
with
Y-
football
Mm.
there's not like okay, so grassroots football in Britain is great. The football pyramid in Britain is really good.
Mm-hmm.
There are some great non-league sides that do go kind of but generally worldwide. I wouldn't say that that's true, but I do think that like that's true of cricket. Like that you can go and pick up a cricket game wherever, like as long as cricket's played there,
Mm.
kind of go and you can play cricket whether you've ever played before,
Mm.
whether you haven't played for 20 years,
Mm-hmm.
whether you for your university side, and really it's just more of a social thing or whatever whatever that might be.
Yeah.
Like that's that's definitely still a thing, and and the fact that there are like 14-year-olds and like 60-year-olds playing on the same team,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that's fun.
Exactly.
And I think and that's something that's quite cool about the way that disability cricket works here.
Mm.
That so it's like gender just isn't really a thing. It's essentially it's much more to do with what kind of disability you have.
Mm-hmm.
So like, you know, I've played against women. I've played like, but also it's that thing of like, it, sort of if you go to a charity game and you just sort of see a little bit of everything, and
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of where we're at.
Mm-hmm. So there
And
is
I
there
think
is nothing like in track and field with different classes of disability. So there is a
there is it's a much earlier stage of that.
okay.
So um, and they're trying out different things. So
Mm.
the way that the Disability Premier League works, which is that kind of weird franchise thing,
Mm.
people are given different points, and it's also it's a mixture of learning disabilities, physical disabilities,
Mm.
and deaf players,
Mm-hmm.
which is mad but amazing.
Mm.
Um, it's kind of so, but often disability, like in all disability sport, until you get to the kind of elite level,
Mm-hmm.
um, pretty much all disabilities are just thrown in together.
Mm.
There's
Okay.
that. Um, so I think once they kind of work out what that, you know, where that's going,
Mm.
I think a huge part of it, and this would certainly make the Paralympics better, is more people with disabilities need to be involved in the actual categorization process, because at the moment it isn't for us. It's for
Yeah,
it's for the normal.
yeah, I think
They
that's
can't get around it.
yeah, I think that's the problem. These categorizations in the Paralympics are more there to give the event more of a credibility in the eyes of people
It
without disabilities, basically.
it's entirely to maintain the kind of
Oh,
um
this is a fair competition, and this is
yeah.
a fair
The
comparison
thing is,
between. Yeah. Okay. Mm.
it, that's- and it's mad because so many people, you know, the wheelchair tennis player Alfie Hewitt. Ever heard of
Mm-hmm.
him? Um, so Alfie got decategorized for uh, just after Tokyo. He's won every single Grand Slam. He's won like more Olympic medals than like Paralympic medals than I can remember.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and basically they just like the IPC just turned around to him and went, "Yeah, your disability doesn't count anymore, sorry, dude." And like he then spent like the 3 years between Tokyo and Paris, like appealing it
Mm.
and trying to fight it and all of that sort of thing. That's what he's. I mean, he did get to Paris and he did get a gold, and it was great.
Mm.
Like a nice bloke, and all. It's that weird thing as well. Is it like for me? It's odd because it's also like, oh, I know Alfie. He's a nice guy. I'd like him to win another medal, but it should be. No, he's the best. Like he's one of the best athletes
Mm.
his sport on the planet. He should be allowed to play his sport at the highest level that it is possible to play. Which is like with the whole like trans thing that's going on at the moment, like all that really horrible stuff that J.K. Rowling came out with over that
Yeah, and yet the Algerian boxer during
the
the
Algerian boxer, but also the trans woman from Canada who was in the Paralympics. She's a long distance runner.
yes,
So J.K. Rowling not only was saying, well, you know, like
yeah,
questioning
her
this
her
woman's gender
usual
and all of
stuff.
that, but also was saying, well, she's not even disabled. And it's like, what the, who? like, and that's the thing that's really difficult because that you're fighting that as well.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, well, at the end of the day, like, you're an athlete
Mm.
and you want to be able to just
Yeah.
concentrate on the sport. It's a really difficult thing because, like, the moment I was born, became a political like figure. My entire life is political because being disabled is political.
Yeah,
You know
exactly.
what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's really difficult because there are times where you just want to be like, just want to do this because I want to do this. You know,
Yeah. Yeah. I
it,
know.
it
I know.
it's really hard to be like. I mean, how many times have you been the first trans person that someone's met and they've made that a part?
A lot of times, and I was telling Ajit, that's the funny um that's the funny thing about being a German trans woman into cricket and doing cricket on the internet, because it's here I'm it's the tranny, it's the German that knows Virat Kohli. It's a
I mean, that's the thing. Like, that's the most interesting thing about you to me is that like you live in Germany and you're like mad into cricket.
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
care about any of the trans stuff. Like, cool, you're trans, whatever. No one cares. Like,
Yeah,
genuinely,
exactly.
that's how I feel about it, and that because that's how you should like. It's just like, oh, that's Leah. Leah's cool.
Yeah, and that's what I
Leah knows a
what I
lot of things about
sometimes,
cricket.
yeah, that's what I sometimes really think. Okay, it's pigeonholing me a bit because I'm the German that knows cricket stuff.
Yeah,
Um,
and I'm sure there's a hell of a lot more to you, and I
yeah,
want
no,
to know that.
but
But
it's
it's that thing of like, isn't that better to be pigeonholed as the German that knows about cricket than
exactly that.
oh that trans woman
Yeah,
who
yeah,
like is the first trans woman I've ever met or
exactly,
whatever?
exactly,
Happened to me so many times.
yeah,
Like like people have and they come up to you and go, "You're the first disabled person I've ever seen. You're the first trans person I've ever seen." And you're just like, "Cool, dude. I don't care.
yeah, exactly.
I'm buying milk."
Yeah,
You know
exactly.
what I mean? And
Yeah,
it's
klar,
so hard
sure.
because you're always on. And you're also like, don't want to be a prick because then they think, oh, all trans people are pricks, all disabled people are pricks. And it's just like, no, I'm a prick.
Yeah,
That's different.
yes, exactly. First of all, if I am a prick to you, uh, then I am a prick in that moment. But
Exactly.
you also have to ask yourself, why am I a prick to you? Maybe, maybe, um,
This one's on you.
maybe this one's on you,
And that's the really
at
difficult
least
thing.
partly.
And that's the thing that's really bloody difficult with, particularly with the Paralympics at the moment,
Mm,
because there are a lot of people who are involved in the Paralympics who don't want to have to be an ambassador all the time, and I
yes,
understand that.
exactly.
I don't.
Yes.
So I think, like I so it sounds really odd because I'm 30, but I've been disabled for 30 years. So
Mm,
in terms of like people involved in the movement, I've been in this a long time.
yes.
Like, which is a really bizarre thing because people get disabilities late. So it's that
Mm,
thing of like I know people that have been like they're in their 60s, but they've
mm,
only been disabled for 10 years or
mm.
whatever. It's like in terms of like that, they're younger than me. Does that
Yeah,
make
yeah,
sense?
yes,
In terms of the movement,
yes.
so it's kind of that thing of like, well, no, I know what it's like to be at primary school in the 90s as a disabled kid.
Mm.
Like it's that thing of like I assume coming out as trans in 2024 is well, it's certainly
Yeah, it's
different.
yes.
Uh, Coming out as trans in 1994. Do you know what I mean?
Yes,
Like,
exactly.
doesn't mean that anyone, anyone's sort of experience of it is any less valid, but it does mean that like
It's
different.
yes.
So, like, I know that a lot of the guys who are involved in like Paralympic sport now, just want to be athletes, and I completely understand that. But I also think there's an element of a lot of the people who are involved in the Paralympics now were athletes before they became disabled, rather than having a disability from birth.
Oh, yes.
They
Okay.
don't see that as a thing that
Mm-hmm.
they have to fight for.
Mm.
Whereas to me, I think no, like they've got a chance to actually say things like the disability benefit system in the UK is wrong,
Mm.
and maybe stop beating people up for being in wheelchairs, and
Yes.
which to me and to most normal nice people,
Mm.
completely standard, very obvious things to
Yes.
want. You know? But it also kind of, it's a weird one, because I think uh, it's strange, because there are lots of people that I know within disability activism who hate the Paralympics because they kind of think, oh, but it's sport, and they're not, they don't know, they're not involved in activism and blah blah blah. And it's kind of like then there are people who are very much
Mm.
sporty and
Mm.
into the
Yes.
Paralympics,
Mm.
and then there's kind of me in the middle, kind of going, oh, I see both sides. Oh, this is very difficult. Oh, I don't know. I wish everyone would just be nice to each other and stop fighting, because we're fighting other people first. There's so
Yeah.
much infighting, but that's true of all communities. Do you know what I mean? Like that's
No, it's
true.
not. It's not. But the more towards the left side of the spectrum, they lean, the more infighting there is.
But
There's a lot of discussions about ideological purity and stuff like that. And no, this is the half sentence of Marx you misinterpret incorrectly. Um,
yeah,
Trotsky
so
ist Rechtsabweichler, stuff like that.
and it's all like that's a huge thing that has been at the
Yes.
forefront of like all of the criticism
Mm.
about the Paralympics that's
Yes.
come around Paris. Is so one thing that I think is definitely true is, yeah, the metro is not accessible. That's
Mm.
true whether the Paralympics is on or not. Like, at least now people are talking about it. I do
Exactly.
think that
Exactly.
that is
Um,
good. But what I think is interesting is, so are you aware of the social model of disability?
which one? I
So like it's just called this. So like uh, it, so the basics are um uh, it's not it's society that sort of disables us as people, because we should
yes.
be able to
Okay,
integrate into society
this
and all
one,
that sort
yes.
of, it's really very standard stuff.
Mm.
When you get to the nitty gritty of it, it's all very kind of linguistic based.
Yes.
So like a lot of the social model hardcore lot that came up with it in the 80s are very very sort of set on the fact that we should be referred to as disabled people, because society has disabled us, which makes complete sense in English, and I agree with it. However, that's not how people want to be referred to in Canada,
Yeah.
because because of French Canadians, and it's different in French. And so it's that thing of like, and so people have been getting on at Paris for, if you basically look at the signage in Paris around
Mm. Oh
the,
yeah, and it's in French and the
like,
French
but
Canadian.
then
Yeah.
you translate it back into English, and it's like, yeah, you've translated it back out of French. No one cares.
Mm.
Literally, no one cares. Oh my god! Like, they're not calling us cripples and spaz and
Uh,
all of that sort of thing
Anymore.
anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, also, like, if you look at Friends or Gilmore Girls, I used to love Gilmore Girls as a kid, and I watched it again recently. Dear God, that did. Oh, blah.
I
Oh,
mean, Friends really didn't age that well. I
no.
what's the problem in Gilmore Girls?
Oh well, so they uh, there's a whole bit in series two, like there's a whole plot line, which is basically um really transphobic. Um,
Oh,
they
okay.
call it spaz all the time. Um, there's like loads of body shaming and all that kind of thing, and it's kind of like, oh, they're fat, and it's just like
Okay.
2024, get over yourself. No one cares.
Yeah. I mean, I guess.
It's just like, I mean, it was written in the early 2000s, so
Yeah.
it's kind of okay. That's 24 years old, but also, oh,
I mean,
people.
it's always funny how in that context it's always funny in Philadelphia is a much more progressive kind of a series because yeah there's a lot of ableist
Oh
stuff
yeah,
being said in that, but you're not supposed to empathize with the main characters. They're assholes. They get addicted to crack for welfare checks. That's the kind
yeah,
of people that say that shit.
kind of like. Yeah, see, that's the thing. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I've had people say, "Oh, did you? How come you like It's Always Sunny?" And I'm like, I mean, it's not my favorite thing, but I'll watch it, kind of thing.
Mm.
And they're like, "Yeah, but it's so ableist," and I'm like, yeah, but like the whole point is that like you get that. That's the whole thing with so much comedy is that, I mean, so it's interesting. Are you aware of Al Murray and like the fact that he does like the pub landlord um character? So Al's a very intelligent
Is he that guy that
guy, and he's got this landlord character who's basically like hardcore Brexit, like
no,
reform, all of that sort of thing. But
I'll have
he's
I'll
very
have to
like,
look him up
yeah,
if I
but
know him.
it's worth looking at purely because the people in the audience are now getting to the point where they don't know that he's satirizing.
Oh yes.
And it's kind of like, no, no,
Oh, I know him. Yes, I know him. Yes.
guy, and like, and it's like, you know, I'm not saying that he's like the best comedian ever, but I'm just saying like the fact that that's on telly a lot and that
Mm.
he's very successful, and it's kind of like he's touring a show that is now pretty much consistently like there'll be a few people that are like they're going, oh, the satire, it's so
Yeah.
wonderful, but a lot of it is kind of like uh,
Yeah,
it
exactly.
loving,
That guy's right.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
and that's, you know, it is what it is, you know.
I mean, it's a bit like I think the best that has ever been put into words in my opinion was a description of 4chan. If you are being uh, ironically idiots and racists online as a kind of role play, you can't be surprised by the fact that suddenly after some time literal idiots and racists will feel right at home in your community.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't be surprised by that.
Exactly. I think I it's one of those really I kind of don't understand how, I don't know. There's people. It's just sometimes I wonder how people are so dumb.
Yes, yes, but
Sort
yeah, I
of,
mean it's the same with the well, at least let's be fair
I mean
here.
that's true in cricket that happened. Like so, um, with the Lord's Test and the Ashes series just gone.
Mm. The
Um,
Johnny Bairstow stumping.
yes. So the fallout in the long run. The fact that Usman Khawaja got the most grief I think
Oh,
is really telling.
yes. It's yeah, yeah.
It's really, you've gone for the one guy of color in their entire team, and you
Mm-hmm.
let like also okay. I'm not saying that Usman Khawaja's like I don't know the guy, I
Mm.
don't know what he's like. I've heard that he's actually a nice enough bloke. I have nothing to sort of like. I'm completely neutral on the guy, you know. Um, but the fact that you've gone after him because somewhere in your weird old racist brain you think, oh, I can go after you, but they let like Pat Cummins, who's like a 6'5"
Yeah, 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 yeah.
white, like beautiful, like Pat
Y-
Cummins is a very good looking man. You can't
yes.
deny it.
No.
I want to deny it. Of course, like of course I want to deny it. He's the Aussie captain. I want to hate his guts, but he's lovely,
Yeah.
which sickens me. Um, it's that thing of like I think that really shows sort of like that element is still in cricket. Um, you know, the fact that uh, I think something that makes me feel very uncomfortable listening to TMS certainly is the fact that like Jonathan Agnew still kind of weirdly goes after like Alex Hartley, like
What?
being open about knowing more about women's cricket, and it's like she played for England. What do you expect? She knows all the people in the setup.
Yeah.
It's
Agnew is still on
no different.
TMS?
Oh, Agnew, he's like the lead commentator on
Okay.
TMS. Yeah,
I thought
it's
I
just really
thought
awkward because there are times where you know that thing where you just know that people are like having a row on air, and you're just
mm,
like, oh, you're being subtly snipey, and
yeah.
also like you know Alex is
Yeah.
20, 30, something like that, and Jonathan Agnew's in his mid 60s, and it's just like, dude, your time is gone. No one cares.
Mm.
It's
And
like you're
I actually I have to admit I haven't listened to TMS in years. And I actually thought that after that Jonathan Liu row with Agnew, his role was reduced, I think, and I thought,
what he's not the BBC correspondent anymore.
okay,
He was years. That's Stefan Schemmelt now. Um, it's just like just an example of kind of that
mm.
thing.
and I
You know,
actually thought they had promoted Alison Mitchell. Uh,
they should.
yeah, they should.
Mitchell.
She's really good.
Oh, I, do you know? I think it's really interesting that uh, in in the two sports that I'm probably the most obsessed with, cricket, the two like journalists that
Oh,
I kind of
sorry,
go
sorry. The other one was didn't come through. You said
football,
cricket and pool,
football.
football. Okay, okay, okay.
Sorry,
Some weird audio issues.
yeah, sorry.
No, no
Um,
problem. Just asking
but
because I'm
yeah,
recording locally and so everyone
okay.
knows what we're talking about.
So yeah, the fact that the two journalists that I kind of think probably are the most, certainly in terms of written media, the
Ah, you
I
still.
would say that Amy Lawrence is probably the best football journalist writing in English at the
Mm.
moment. To me,
Mm-hmm.
is a really big thing. So even
We're
there are
having.
people kind of getting gigs is a really great thing.
And that was the moment that Discord decided to stop working properly. Sorry everyone for that. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed what I got, what I could record. At this point, reconnection wasn't really an option because it was getting really, really late. As I said in the beginning, we started very, very late, and then it got worse. So we didn't continue the interview at that time. As I said, I would like to talk to Will again to bring this conversation to a kind of a close. But until then, I thought it was a pretty good conversation. Some really important points were brought up. Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed what I got here. If you liked it, please leave a like down below there. If you don't want to miss anything that's uploaded here on this channel, you can also subscribe. Really helps me out. So thank you everyone for your attention and see you soon. Bye.